Hello and welcome to Newsnight, where we speak to major league players in Nigeria's democracy and the issues generated from its drive for growth and development. I am Ladi Akeredoluale. Thanks for joining us today. National security, or lack of it, is still at the top of topics for discussion. Various stakeholders have been digging into the subject and proffering what, in their view, are the best solutions. The Middle Belt region in Nigeria's north-central zone was one of the first to witness acts of banditry, as well as farmers-herders clashes. We're looking at the situation there today from the lenses of one of its major actors. But just to note that since the teaser for this interview, where my guest indicated that it appears that Kaduna State Governor Malam Nasir El-Rufai was on the side of the Fulani ethnic group and referenced the Ladoga Grazing Reserve as an example, was aired on the news, the Kaduna State authorities have denied the assertion. The authorities point out that the Ladoga Reserve was not set up by this administration, that is the administration of Malam El-Rufai, and also challenged anyone to come forward with proof of land grabbing or anything that suggests the government is not being fair to all sides in the state. Having said that, here's the Newsnight conversation with the national president of the Middle Belt Forum, Dr. Bitrus Pogu. Dr. Pogu, thank you for your time. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Difficult times we are in. Let me start from the Northeast. A lot of activity in the last couple of weeks in the Northeast, particularly in Borno State. Even in the run-up to this interview, there was a report of the repelling of an attack on Dikwa. Before that, there was what happened in Marte, and then there was a rocket attack just outside Maiduguri.
Yeah.
So quite a lot. And it seemed that we were experiencing a resurgence. I'm not even talking about what people are saying in other parts of the north yet.
That's correct.
I'm focusing first on Borno.
Borno.
This is an area you are very familiar with. Can you give us an idea of what really is the situation there now?
It's, as you said rightly, there is escalation of the activities of Boko Haram. Boko Haram is trying to say, look, you have been telling stories to Nigerians that we have been defeated and all that. We are telling you we are on ground. And the truth remains that apart from Maiduguri, inside Maiduguri, nobody is safe anywhere. You just don't travel anyhow. All the roads leading to Maiduguri, up to now, you have to be escorted by a military escort. You can't just on your own venture out and travel. Whether it is Maiduguri to Damatru, Maiduguri to Bama, or veer off to Dikwa, or going northerly towards Baga and the rest. So the situation on ground is as bad as that. South of Maiduguri too, that is the southern Borno part, is equally bad. Because the whole of Damboa local government is occupied territory. Everybody either is in Damboa, or if he's outside Damboa, it means he's part of it. And that's the kind of situation. And south of Damboa is Chibok. South of Damboa is also Askira Uba, which has suffered from attacks severally. South of that is also part of Biu and Hawul local government. They have also suffered from attacks lately. So there is escalation of attacks by Boko Haram. Kidnappings are going on. It's that bad. And we can't pretend that that the security situation is improving for the better. It is not.
How is the military doing? Because the last time I spoke to you, which would now be about 2 years ago, you seemed to be a bit more optimistic about the activities of the military in that area.
Yeah.
Are you still optimistic about it?
You see, my conviction, and I believe that is what obtains across board, is that our military has the capacity. But the the powers that be seem to be doing the thing wrongly. Deliberately, military men are kept at locations waiting for Boko Haram to attack before they will repel them. You don't fight a war by waiting for the enemy to attack. You go after the enemy. And the other thing is, we believe the military, through intelligence, know their location. We are convinced if the ordinary people know where they are, I believe the military that has a superior intelligence machinery know where they are. Unfortunately, they don't root them out. They tell us stories. We have gone somewhere in Sambisa. We are at ground zero. We have reached this place. We have destroyed Shekau's farm. And the story continues. So I think somewhere, somehow, there are powers that are keeping the thing to continue or allowing the whole process to continue. For what reason, I cannot tell. But what I know is our military has the capacity to root these people out and finish it for good.
We found out two things in the last couple of weeks, late last year to this year. The first is that it would appear as if the battle has left Borno, Yobe, and Adamawa, which used to be the traditional hotspots, yes, and has moved inwards.
Yes.
So we've gone in the direction of Zamfara, the Kebbi, Niger axis. If what we are told is to be believed, all the people who are acting in those locations are either offshoots or affiliates of Boko Haram.
Yes.
The second thing that appears to have come to light is that they are making, and that's where the issue of Sambisa that you mentioned comes in. They are making extensive use of forests. In all these locations, it is forests that they are said to be using as operational basis. As it is now, with what is happening in Niger State, in Zamfara State, and other such places, in Katsina, late last year, would you say that what you told me 2 years ago when you said, at that time, it was Benue. You said if it's not stopped in Benue, naturally, it will move. Would I be right then to say that you are not surprised at what is happening now?
I'm not surprised at all. It's, you see, this thing is just going down south. And they, as I believe, these people would want to go deep down south as much as possible. The whole exercise we started in the northeast rightly has moved to the northwest and north central. And it is moving southwest, southeast, gradually to south-south. The whole country would have been engulfed. And it is true that they use foliage, forests, for cover. But the interesting thing is, people don't go back and see these things in perspective. Our president said some 2 years back that foreigners from Libya and other places have come into this country and are part of the problems we are facing. Later that same period, the governor of Kaduna State came out to say that these people who come in are Fulanis from neighboring countries. He even mentioned up to 16 African countries. And that he was going to settle them so that they will stop the killings in his state particularly. Has he done something? So it meant that even at that time, they knew where the problem was coming from and nothing was done to stop it. It is escalating. Unfortunately, these people would attack because when it was hitting us in the Middle Belt, we would cry, we would say, look, this is about changing demography because many of these people come in, they don't have cattle. They kill our people, sack them from their ancestral lands. They are kept in IDP camps. Government doesn't bring them back to their settlements. Fulani herdsmen now use the place for herding cattle. The next thing we discovered was those areas are now being allotted as areas for either livestock transformation program or as ruga or whatever. Are they connected? These are the questions one would ask. Because if these places were attacked, and after the attack, these people are kept in IDP camps for only God knows how long, because they are still in IDP camps as we are talking. And then the herders occupy the area. Later, we hear government trying to use those same areas where the natives have been sacked for implementation of livestock transformation program or whatever. Are these things connected? Were these people brought into the country deliberately for this purpose? And as they are moving further into the country, to the northwest, now going to the southwest, etc., are they trying to sack people from our forests and take them over for a similar program? So we kicked against it. We are still going to kick against it, because we said we know our local Fulani, and government should do or bring in policies that would transform the nomadic nature of our local Fulani to ranching. But ranching of cattle or Fulani, by Fulani, who we know are Nigerians. So this whole thing is complex, and I believe there are things that the government isn't telling us. Because if foreigners came into this country, who brought them in? How did they just come? Did they just come in? Where were the immigration officers at the borders? Who gave them the arms? Because they got these arms here. They didn't bring them from abroad or from whichever country.
Well, the allegation is that they brought them from Libya, because the narrative is that when the late Colonel Gaddafi was overthrown in 2011, that his armory, which was, from the report, one, if not the best on the African continent in terms of the kind and quality of armaments he had, was ransacked, and that non-state actors took control, militias took control of most of those armaments.
That's a very good, plausible story for us to buy. Sir, if those arms, these arms they are using is from outside, many of the sites of attacks which we have, because evidence will come in future, many of the shells of the bullets that are gathered by villagers, many of them show Nigerian army. That means
Nigerian army?
Yes. And this thing is going to hunt some of these our retired generals when the time comes. Because these villagers have kept these things. And it is going to expose so many things. I disagree with anybody saying that arms came from Libya and all that. I don't agree. Many of those people were imported for a purpose. For example, when this man from Kwara made his allegation that some of these people were brought in to ensure that the APC won the 2015 election, and then the thing went bizarre. Whether it is true or false, he wouldn't come out of the blues and say such a statement. And I believe there is a lot of conspiracy about what is happening in Nigeria. This security problem is such that you can't just pin it down to some foreign intervention. But certainly we know foreigners are involved in the local fight, because some of the Fulani we encounter don't even understand English or any native language. Some of them speak French. So certainly some of such people came from outside the country. But I believe that the arms are local. And number two, sir, we know that, when Boko Haram started, they started getting arms from soft targets like police stations. They will go to a police station, pick the few AK-47 there and use. When they had enough, they got emboldened, they started attacking military stations. and cutting away military arms and ammunition. They cutted away a lot of arms in Damatru. We have records they cutted away a lot of arms, including anti-aircraft guns from the airport in Maiduguri. They cutted away a lot of arms in trucks from Bama. They cutted out a lot of arms and even displayed on, it was on social media then, from Mongono and so many other places, and from Dambua. In Goza, they even went away with battle tanks before they were recovered, and armored personal carriers. We have records of this. So nobody should deceive me when I have these things are known that these arms came from somewhere. And there are so many cases where military men will go out and the Boko Haram would ambush them, collect their arms, ammunition, and their trucks and disappear into thin air. It has happened over and over again. So we don't have to look elsewhere. The answers are right there before us.
A few people have now stepped up to say, look, it seems as if we are dancing again on the edge of the precipice. One of those people, amongst a whole host of others, whose intervention has proved to be controversial, is Hausa Fulani himself, Sheikh Gumi,
yes,
who has been deeply involved in negotiating for the release of students kidnapped in Kagara and then in Jangebe after that. And one is wondering, we seem to have retreated to our ethnic cleavages again, instead of moving forward to become Nigerians. We seem to have stepped back, because we're hearing very often now in national discussions, Hausa Fulani, Tiv, Kanuris, and then the separation between Hausas and Fulanis.
Yes.
Because for most people outside of the north, there's no difference between Hausas and Fulanis. But that is now being emphasized.
Yes.
Do you agree that we are dancing on the edge of the precipice? And do you think interventions like those of Sheikh Gumi help solve the problem? Because at the end of the day, what he's asking for is a clean slate. Let's start it all over again.
Thank you.
And he seems to have, by whatever means, the rescues he has participated in, he has gotten everybody back unharmed. All those taken away.
That's correct. That's correct. You see, the interventions of Sheikh Gumi are interventions that, in the kind of situation we are in, there are things that you just have no choice. Anything is better than nothing. That is that kind of intervention. Nobody is opposed to mediation in any conflict situation. However, this is somebody who has a record which clearly indicates he's on the side of the bandits or the Boko Haram or the herdsmen or militia or whatever. Because in the past, we have his records. When he even said that the Boko Haram was doing their bidding. Now, if such a person who in the past had their sympathy, and even now, the fact that he can walk freely into their camps and be welcomed, they'll sit down around him and listen to him. There are questions we have to ask. So the truth remains, nobody is opposed to mediation. Nobody is opposed to ways of resolving conflict. However, if the conditions he is given, like granting amnesty, how do you come into my country? You're from some other country because you belong to a tribe that is claiming ownership and dominance and whatever. And then you cause mayhem, kill my people. That is, if I were in leadership position. And then you say you can go scot-free because that's the only way to settle things. I would say no. In fact, I am surprised that the government is still holding back because As I said earlier, the intelligence or in this country know where these people are.
He too says they know where they are.
Okay.
He's admitted that
Now,
the military and the security forces know where these people are.
So why are they not being rooted out? Why are they not being bombed? Why are they not being dealt with? It means something is fishy. Something is wrong somewhere. Or the government is complicit in this whole thing. Because otherwise, why isn't the government doing something, given the fact that they know where they are? And can I make a deduction from this analogy? Yes, it's possible these people now find it difficult to fund the terrorists or the insurgents. And the best way is allow them to pick students, pick people, and then ransom be paid so that they can continue to survive. Since the ransom was paid and they know where they are, why haven't they dealt with them?
But we get denials all the time. Nobody has admitted to paying ransom anytime.
If the government denies, the individuals who have continually been kidnapped have paid ransom. They have confessed. Our man was kidnapped, we paid 5 million. Our daughter was kidnapped, we paid 20 million. These things have been going on. In southern Kaduna, I think they gave a record when they totaled the whole thing, it's nearly $1 billion paid over a year or two. So the issue is, these people are being sustained and kept running in the hideouts wherever they are, using the ransoms they collect from the kidnappings they do. So if the government knows, if the security agencies knows, why haven't they rooted them out? I can only say that government knows, but government is keeping them there for a purpose.
You mentioned southern Kaduna.
Yes.
While everything else that has been going on, dramatic as it is, has been going on, the issue of southern Kaduna has gone on for probably much longer, and perhaps if there's a calculation of the death toll in terms of numbers, properties lost, people displaced and all of that, may be approaching the levels of even the insurgency in the northeast.
Yes.
What exactly is the problem? Do you know what the problem is in southern Kaduna?
Our own, we've always said, southern Kaduna is part of the middle belt.
Yes.
We've always said that this agenda has to do with change of demography and land grabbing. Finish. The issue is, as I said earlier, people are chased out of their communities through these bandits. Some of these bandits are our local Fulani. Because I visited a camp where they say, we know some of the bandits. We can identify them. And they even called the names. When I came, it was my turn to address them. I said, look, it is now time for the governor to come out clean. Arrest these people. Let these who said they would testify come and testify. Let's see whether our local Fulani are also involved or not. Nothing happened. If nothing happened, then something is wrong somewhere. Look at me. I came on and spoke. It was open. It was recorded. It was played on television. Government did nothing. Those people who were mentioned were never apprehended or arrested. Yet, these people have been chased out of their ancestral lands. They are in IDP camps. And it is nearly 2 years now. They are still in IDP camps. A lot of those areas that are being attacked are now being taken over to be handed over to Fulani for either livestock transformation program or as areas for ranching of cattle. By the time the government has taken over, you know, we have talked about Ladoga over and over. Now it is larger than Ladoga. Where will these people go to? Their land has been taken over. They are Nigerians. They are in IDP camps. Where will they go? They have lost their ancestral land. So the whole thing, whether it is Kaduna, it is Benue, where the governor stood his ground and went up to the extent of implementing no herding of cattle,
no open grazing.
He has been able to do it because as a governor, he is the chief security officer in the state. But in that of Kaduna, the governor seemed to be on the side of the Fulani. That's why it continues and the thing continues. And those areas are being taken over, just as I told you, to be handed over to the Fulani.
The governors in the north have now done two things. Open grazing, off. Not doing open grazing anymore. They want to do the ranching.
Yes.
But there is the question of, is it possible to establish ranches only up north? Because I will still leave the issue of how do you get the product down south where most of the consumption is done. Most northern cuisine doesn't have beef at the center of it. It's southern cuisine that has beef at the center of it. So that's where your market is. Or do you want to also take some of the product nearer the market, which means you establish these ranches in parts of the south? The argument is that they tried to do that a couple of years ago. Virtually every state in the south said they had no land to give anybody for that purpose. Yet the problem is there because these people walking around with the sticks and the cows don't stop walking around. They are still in Lagos, they are everywhere.
That's a good question, sir. What we said, our own solution to the problem, we said every community in Nigeria know their local Fulani. That is, Fulanis who roam around in the community but stays in the community. We said this thing rather than what government is trying to do. I remember when government started, it was states within the Middle Belt zone that they selected. They said Taraba, Adamawa, Benue, Plateau, Nasarawa, Niger, blah, blah. I said, don't we have land in Katsina? Don't we have land or grass in Zamfara? Don't we have grass in Yobe? And I then said again, in Borno and part of Yobe, we have nomadic people who don't leave Borno or Yobe, the Shua Arabs. They are also nomads. And there is a clan in the Kanuri tribe, we call them Kwayam. They are also nomads.
Professor Dikwa pointed that out as well.
They don't leave Borno. They also farm and provide fodder for their animals during the dry season. They don't leave Borno. No conflicts. Why is it particularly the Fulani that we're having problem with? I think something is fishy here too.
No, but because the argument is that they roam around. It's part of their culture to roam.
So, sir, the truth is, those people also had it as their culture, but they, on their own, discovered that things are changing, and they had to change with time. And that's why the Shua Arab, the Kwayam, are living peacefully with everybody. And then, sir, with that kind of question you ask, that what happens with the beef if the whole thing is here? If the policy of government should be community-based, where those Fulanis who are indigenous or who have remained in the southwest or southeast are the ones accommodated in those areas, there wouldn't have been any problem. But what government is trying to do is acquire people's land and hand it over to Fulanis. You come, community land, 1,000 hectares, And then this is now cattle colony, or this is now for livestock transformation. Who are the occupants? Fulani. They tell us that, there are other livestock. You will come and find out from what we saw in Laduga, it will be only Fulanis who will be there. In Laduga, they said it is for them to go there, settle for a time, and then move out at the appropriate time. Just provide sources of water and blah, blah, and blah, blah. It is now Fulani settlement. They are even selling lands to themselves. No local person, whether it is an Atiap person, that is the people we call this, none of them can go in there. Because you go there, it is your life, maybe your corpse that they will find. So if Laduga is the example of what they are telling us, it comes down or boils down to what we have said. It is land grabbing and change in demography. And how are we sure that all the foreign Fulani who are now roaming around in the country, along with our local Fulani, will not be accommodated there? All the Fulani, I can assure you, who are within this country, whether they are from Cameroon, from Mali, from Senegal, or from Cameroon, all of them are going to be settled in these camps, and they have become Nigerians. Our land has been taken over and handed over to them. It boils down to what we have always said: land grabbing, change in demography.
If this is as clear as you pointed out, it begs the question then, because I know that as far back as 2-3 years ago, Abdullahi Ganduje, the governor of Kano, when this crisis was just beginning, had said, look, all the Fulanis that are roaming around Nigeria, all of them could come to Kano. That because in Kano he had large enough land, and that if he received support from the federal government and from states, he could put in place all the facilities that they could use, water, food, and so on. They should all leave anywhere they are trespassing on other people's farms and so on, and come back. Only last year, he expressed regret that he didn't get that support and that the situation escalated to where it is now. Why do you think he didn't get it?
It boils down to what we've said. The promoters of this crisis, whoever they are, have an agenda. And that agenda, I believe, is to promote the Fulani race over and above every other group. And the nomadic Fulani seem to be the people used, including those imports of Fulani from other parts of this, to achieve that objective. Ganduje, maybe from the sincerity of heart and purpose, he didn't want his people to suffer. There's land here. Kano is not, in terms of vegetation, it's not different from Katsina or from Zamfara or from where. If you are traveling, going to Gusau or going towards Sokoto, you'll be traveling in some areas for miles on, open field, grasslands, no settlements. You don't find that in the Middle Belt or in the South. So he has the land. But the people who are in authority, who have an agenda, which we believe, we have always cried about that agenda. Change in demography, blah, 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 blah. We've been talking. Those people wouldn't want him to just be the one doing it. They wanted those places to be in Adamawa, in Taraba, in Plateau, Nasarawa, Niger, Kwara, except within the Middle Belt. And now that, yes, they have seen there's a way of moving it even further down south, they have started occupying Yoruba land. If they are sincere, here is somebody a state governor, who has a solution to the problem. Yes, ranching, I'm going to provide the land. They refused because they have an agenda. So just look at it. It's just glaring that they have interest in some areas to occupy, to subdue, and to take over. Why is it that any time these people attack and people are sent to IDP camps, they are never returned? They are left in the IDP camps. Go to the area if you are able to, you see herders moving around freely. At the time of the attack, it's not the herders that are there. It's those armed people who don't have cattle, who are sent to attack. But after they have chased the indigenous from the place, the herders come in. It is an agenda, sir. And that is the agenda we are kicking against. Because
But there seems to be a balance. I don't know if it would be right to call it a balance of power now. And I'm not talking strictly of the state, because you've mentioned those in authority, those in government.
federal government.
Yes. But it seems as if there is a slightly more delicate balance now being established. A number of non-state actors have stepped into the arena. Whether you want to call them regional militia, the likes of Amotekun, the Arewa Vanguards, the Rangers, the Forest Guards,
And
in Benue,
lots of them here.
the Eastern Security Network, all those people. Some of these people are armed, even though there's still a debate about whether or not they should be armed or they should be doing strictly intelligence gathering. So if what you are saying goes to the logical conclusion,
Yes.
the only foreseeable thing is that there will be a stalemate, because everybody seems to have one sort of defense force or the other.
Yes.
Because even the middle belt,
Of course.
I remember the last time I spoke to you, I said the middle belt was being accused. In fact, the middle belt was the first group to be accused
Yes.
under Governor Tom of setting up a militia. Of course, other people have since
correct.
taken up that now. So, I guess the question I'm trying to ask you now is, what do we do now?
Thank you, sir. It's because these groups sensed what is going on. That, hey, the government isn't telling us the truth. A community will be attacked by insurgents. They will cry out to the military, to the police force. Nobody could come to their assistance or aid. After that, they may regroup and say, hey, let's take back what is ours. That is the time you are going to see the police and the army to say you cannot. When these people were attacking us, we cried out. Even before they came, we told you, we said they are coming. And you didn't come to our aid. You are supposed to protect us. But you didn't. Now that we want to protect ourselves, you say no. Something is wrong. Why are you siding the attackers? All along, attackers have never been apprehended. But the locals who try to defend are usually the ones arrested and locked up. When it was happening in the Middle Belt, we cried out and cried out. People in the South were watching. And they came and said, hey, we shouldn't allow that to happen here. That's what resulted in the setting up of these groups, Amotekun and the rest, to defend themselves, because people have lost confidence in the security architecture within the country for self-defense, to defend them against external or whatever aggression. That's why everybody is seeking for self-defense. What we tried to do was to say, if these people are being aided or are being supported, quote unquote, because the word supported may not be acceptable, by the security operatives which are under federal control. We said, let there be state police. Let there be local government police. I can't accept or see, if I see my local people being attacked and I'm a policeman in that area, and then I won't defend them. That wouldn't happen. If some Boko Haram or herdsmen militia come to Plateau and there is a state police in Plateau, and some of them are located around Barkin Ladi, for example, where they are going to attack, they will not wait till somebody comes. They will fight and defend their people till, if the thing overwhelms them, they will look for external help. That's why we said we want state police, we want local government police. We are copying the American system. Let's copy it fully so that we can live in peace. It is the denial and the refusal to allow these things to happen. That's what is resulting in the setting up of Omotekun, Eastern, blah, blah, and all that kind of vigilante and whatever. Because the system is not operating properly. We are not being defended by those who are supposed to defend us. We are not being protected by the government that is supposed to protect us. The primary function of government is security and welfare. We are not getting that from this government. That's why we are saying things have to change. It brings us then back to restructuring. Because this is one aspect of restructuring. Different, some people say, hey, what is this restructuring? Because everybody is talking his thing. He say, yes, restructuring may mean different things to different people. But the end result is a better Nigeria that works. That's simple. A better Nigeria that works. So, sir, let's have a system that works. Let's have something that people can be confident of. We will not have a Motekun. We will not have Eastern Security Network. We will not have vigilante in my village. We also have vigilante. And they take local arms and even support the military. They go out together. When the military is having an operation or trying to chase away Boko Haram, they support the military. So the issue is the system is not properly constituted. We need to restructure so that things will work properly and we will not have problems to the extent that we may even go to war for no reason. It's just because people refuse to listen or people try to be selfish.
Before we wind this down, I think that what you said last brings up the political side of this, yes, which is, to use the phrase you used earlier on in the interview, another basket of wahala.
Yes.
What appears to be unfolding now is that the northern minority appear to be working towards an alliance with the southern groups against what used to be called the core north.
Yes.
And that all of this is going to come to a head in or before 2023.
Yes.
That because down south, the position is that the presidency ought to come down south.
Yes.
Up north, not so much. There's not consensus on that.
Yes.
Do you think that can be resolved amicably? Or is that, in fact, as some people have said, linked to this other basket that we have been talking about all day?
Yeah. Let me see this thing this way. I believe that the political parties would honor their unwritten agreements. They are likely to cede the presidency to the South, be it PDP or APC. But here's the problem, sir. As we are talking, there are movements up here north, which I believe governors are involved, members of the National Assembly are involved, to create a new platform that new platform will not obey the rule you are talking about. Suppose the APC say, yes, you see, we said this, a gentlemanly agreement, blah, blah, blah. It is going south. And then in the end, they find out that the APC is now an empty shell because everybody has moved to the new thing they are creating. And it is new, they can have their northern candidate. And so the whole thing becomes different. So there are lots of games being played, sir. But the Middle Belt, for some reason, we've discovered the mischief our brothers have been committing over and over. So we are wisening up. What my parents went through, I wouldn't want to go through. What I'm going through, my son wouldn't want to go through. That's why we said, look, we are Nigerians. Those who think the way we think and reason progressively the way we reason, we should partner with them. And we started partnering with the South. We started strongly during my predecessor's period, and I'm continuing. And the reason is simply this. If in the North, where they say we are Northerners, blah, 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 right from the First Republic and all that, the T.Y. Danjumas, the Middle Belters sacrificed for the North to be what it is. At the time, the T.Y. Danjumas and the rest stood up as Northerners. My brothers up north, how many of them were there to do anything? That is the truth. But these same people, during Obasanjo's period, when some Middle Belters were appointed, they said they are not Northerners. What makes a Northerner a Northerner? Is it the tribe, the religion, or what? Some of them who have said they are not Northerners were even Muslims. But they didn't belong to some tribe or the other. So I say, so there are two categories of Northerners. Middle Belters have wisened up.
Dr. Pogu, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for speaking with us.
You're welcome.
That's Newsnight today. Thanks for watching. Just to note that, like we told you at the start of the program, since the teaser for this interview came out, the Kaduna State authorities have denied the assertion made by Dr. Pogu that the governor, Malam Nasir El-Rufai, was on the side of the Fulani ethnic group in some of the security situations that have arisen in the state. The authorities point out that the Ladoga Game Reserve referenced in the course of the interview was not set up by the El-Rufai administration. The government also pointed out that it would challenge anyone to come up with any proof that it had taken sides in all the security situations that have arisen in the state. Our social media handles are right there on your screen. We'd, of course, like to hear from you, so please use them to reach us. You can also listen to this and previous episodes of the program via our podcast. Please visit our website, channelstv.com. I am Ladi Akeredoluale. Goodbye.